Okay. Well, as you all probably have noticed, you got me today. Vernon is in Miami at EXPCon, going and schmoozing and getting all the latest and greatest, and is hopefully going to bring back some really good gems and nuggets of wisdom and some just all of the good knowledge that comes out of these conferences and events. So he really wanted to be here today, but I think the only flight back was in the morning time. So he's on a plane right now, flying, making his way back. But he sends his regards. He will be here at the next meeting. So we got a packed agenda today. We've got the Revive team here, as you probably have noticed, that they are going to jump on and they're going to present on a tool for all of us. I think we had Revive come and do a presentation for the team maybe 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. But what Revive is a platform that will help us get selling options for our seller clients, right? This is the seller program. Yes, an option that we very often want is to do a regular on-market listing, but as you all know, a lot of the consumers who come through that you talk to are looking for something maybe a little bit different than just a regular on-market sale. They want to be able to explore their options, and Revive is a really tremendous platform for being able to give our consumers another option and another way to go and a better way for us to secure more business potentially. So before we get into all of that, just a couple of housekeeping items. So one of the things that when we met 4 weeks ago, I think, and we did our brainstorm on kind of trying to figure out ways that we could improve the seller program. One of the things that we talked through was, figuring out what does the flow look like for consumers coming through for seller leads before they actually get to us. And we've been digging around with the Zillow team. I actually went, and I think Julie, you did this as well. I put my house on Zillow Seller Connections and went through their process. I still have yet to get a call from a local realtor, but I started getting marketing emails from one, so I know someone got it. But the big takeaways from that is it's inconsistent, right? There's a bunch of different ways that sellers can originate through the Zillow Seller Connection process in terms of who they're talking to, in terms of what they're filling out. And other than the live connections from a rep, the ones where they're actually connecting you through and they're talking to you, it sounds like we're, at least for the time being, we're not going to be able to get additional details from Zillow in terms of what they filled out, in terms of the information, in terms of what they're looking for, other than what we're already getting. And I know that was something that we talked would be super helpful if we got more of like the survey that they filled out beforehand or whatever. But from Zillow and from what we've been talking through with them, it sounds like that's something that's just not in the pipes, in the production pipeline for them to be able to provide that information. So Vernon and I were talking and thinking about how do we address this, given that there's consumers who are coming from all sorts of different starting points in our buyer's journey. And the mindset shift that we talked through, but also the most successful teams with the seller program across the country, with the Zillow seller program, and this is coming from our Zillow rep, what they are doing is treating that first appointment, right? You get the consumer on the line, you talk about booking a time to go out to the house. That first appointment is not a listing appointment. The first appointment is a fact-finding mission to go out to their house, to assess the condition of the property, to snap some photos, and to get them some options for selling their home. One of those is a regular on-market sale. But what we're going to talk through is the other options that you can present. And that's where the Revive team here comes in as having additional options to the seller, right? So that addresses those consumers who come to and say, well, I just wanted a cash offer. Great, I got to get out to your house, assess the condition, snap some photos so I can get a cash offer together from our investors. I can also get together some options for you so you know your full suite of options for selling your home, right? So that is, I think, going to be one of our biggest tools in shifting how we nail more of those first appointments. Is we're not pitching a listing appointment to come out and talk about listing their home, because we know a lot of these consumers did not inquire asking about a listing appointment. They inquired asking about a cash offer, a valuation, or whatever. Instead, that first appointment where we're going out to their home is an assessment to help get them a property valuation. And we're going to be spending a lot more time kind of talking through strategies for that in the coming weeks and months. Jay, what do we got?
So yeah, I just realized. So most of them, they're just looking for a cash offer or a home evaluation. So how do we know, like, or you just ask questions and
It's all the same, right? I mean, you ask questions, but if you want to get them a cash offer, if you want to get them a home evaluation, if you want to do valuation for an on-market sale, no matter what, you still need to get into the home and see, is the place trashed? Is the flooring upgraded? Is the kitchen upgraded? Like all of this information. And so that flow is still the same, right? Oh, to get you an accurate cash offer, to get you an accurate valuation, here's what our next step is.
is there a way for Zillow to let us know, like, what's the reason for them
So
to
that's what I
sell?
was just saying. Is there a way? Probably. I'm sure they've got the capability of designing that, but that's not something that they are sending to us, and that's not something that is in their production pipeline to send to us.
So right now it's just, just hey, so what's the reason? I guess.
Can I could jump in, Dan?
Yeah,
Can I say something real quick?
Michael,
So
go for it.
I think what the team should know is whatever kind of lead you're getting from anywhere, there's a great majority of people, actually like more than 68% of people today solicit a cash offer even when they have no intention of selling cash, right? Because why not? It's so easy. I'm thinking of selling my house. I'm getting bombarded. So whether it's Zillow or any other channel that you're getting a lead, there are going to be people saying, "Give me a cash offer." We know this is real stats. 97% of those leads end up not going with a cash offer. Less than 1.6% of the people actually go with a cash offer. And the majority of them end up listing. Some of them end up listing immediately. Another kind of big portion list 3 months later, right? So the idea here is anytime you're getting a lead, it doesn't matter from where, just know that and people hire usually the first agent they meet anyway. Well, the first smart agent, the first agent they like, and the first agent that's solving a problem for them. So I think that's really good framing. I'm sorry for jumping in, Dan, but it's like, it doesn't matter if it's Zillow or not. Like, you should show up with knowing that this is someone that probably is not going to pull the trigger on a vulture investor offer that you're going to present to them, period. And then they're going to need to know that you're smart and you have some solutions for some of their problems. And that's I think like mind shift number one. But anyways, I'm pausing.
Well, perfect. And Michael, I'm gonna tee you up in just a second here. But Jay, does that kind of answer your question?
Not really, but yeah, I
I
get Michael's point. Yeah.
I mean, I think the answer to your question is we're not going to get the information from Zillow,
So I guess
at least
just
not in the near future.
yeah, it's just talking to them, asking them what's the reason for them to reach out.
Yeah, and again, the booking the face-to-face appointment, regardless of what they came through for, right? That the next step is always a face-to-face appointment. Because here's the other thing. When you guys, these are your stats, not some national Zillow stats. When you get face-to-face with a client, you are winning 25 to 50% of the listing appointments, right? So like if you just get to face with them, one out of four to one out of two of those appointments, you're going to get a listing agreement signed. So like our opportunity, sure, there's some things we could do to fine tune the appointment in terms of, follow up and all that sort of stuff. But really the opportunity is just get face to face, because you all in the room here are good when you get face to face, right? The stats are showing that you are good at winning the listing when you get face to face with these consumers. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how to kind of hook them to get face to face. Because like Michael said, most of these people aren't going to wind up going with a super low ball cash offer. They're curious about it. But if on that initial call we're saying we don't really want a cash offer from Open Door, let's talk about listing your house in the open market, you're going to get hung up on, right? But if you go for that, all right, well, I can get you a cash offer. Let me see the house and take some photos, assess the property condition, and we'll also talk about your other options too. So I just want to share one other thing, and then Michael, I'm going to tee you up and pass the mic off to you. But a piece of information to keep in mind for all of us moving forward, how we're thinking about these leads. This month for the Zillow Seller Connection program, we're scheduled to get about 80 to 90 connections. And I think we'll probably get about that same number for next month as well. From the Zillow stats, 40% of those people are going to list their home in the next 12 months. So if you think about it, that's this month and next month, the following month, 30 to 40 listings, 30 to 40 sellers that are going to come through our inbox that are going to sell their house or at least list their home in the next 12 months. So figuring out how we get face to face with those people and how we present them more opportunities to win their business has the potential to unlock a ton of listings for everyone in this room. And like I said before, a month ago when we get on this call,
Okay,
I
let's
know
go
it's a
eat.
challenging market. It's a challenging market for sellers, but the more that we can stay on top of the seller game when the market does shift, the more that you guys will have control of your local market. So, all right, with that, Michael, I'm going to pass the mic off to you. So we got Michael here from Revive. Michael, you're the CEO of Revive, right? Is that right? Do you get a title?
Yeah, that's one of my titles. Yes.
All right. Well, we got the big man himself here to walk us through. I had the good fortune to talk to Michael a couple weeks ago and kind of get the lowdown on how their program works. It's really innovative in the way that it presents options for sellers. Right, there is a capped offer program, but I think the real superpower of Revive is the ability to create multiple options outside of just a cash offer for someone where a regular on-market sale also does not make 100% sense either, right? It just presents a really good suite of options. And something that I'm looking forward to hearing from Michael as well is that he mentioned they work with Zillow Flex seller teams across the country too. And so they have a really unique perspective into what's working and what's not in terms of seller leads beyond just what we're being told from our Zillow rep, which, like, let's be honest, there's probably a certain amount of bias in terms of the bright rosy picture that we're being presented. So I'm excited to hear some of the things about potentially what other teams are doing, what you're seeing that's working in the market, and just hearing about some of these program options as well. So without further ado, Michael, I'm going to pass the mic to you to give us some great information on Revive.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Nice to see everyone. Some of you I recognize, like Jennifer. Nice to not see you, but see your background. But I know you're here listening to me. Vernon, I've met with him and we've talked before, maybe even Christina. So nice to see you guys. I'm also joined here by John Solis, who is our head of sales here at Revive. He might be a really good point person for you guys. If you guys have further questions after this or want to do deep dives and strategy and stuff like that. And Nicole, Casper Bauer is also on Zoom. She's our community development person. She's in your Slack. She's also someone as a good resource. So, today, Dan, I'm not gonna I'm gonna talk about maybe less about our products, but more about, and we're not working with Zillow sellers all over the country, but we are working with 5 Zillow seller teams in California over the last actually 12 months now, or close to 12 months. And I've learned a lot. Revive has learned a lot. And I'm going to share some of those experiences with you that I think hopefully will be nuggets or good pieces of information that you guys could adopt or think about. So, okay, I'm going to get started here. I'm going to share my screen. Also, Dan and Jay and everybody here, please interrupt me with questions throughout this. I'd love for this to be interactive. And I'm going to speak fast because I do want to get through kind of a good amount of information. So I'm going to be going fast, if that's okay with you, but that means that you have to interrupt me when I'm going too fast and it's going over too fast. So there we go. So you guys can see my screen. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to start by, really quickly, as you guys know, what you guys have maybe heard about Revive. Everybody in the room has probably heard about Revive now. Revive's been around for 5 years. If you've heard about Revive, you probably knew us for our pay at close option. That's the program where we help real estate agents bring every listing to market looking amazing. Excuse me, with no money out of pocket until the home sells. A couple good data points for you guys. Revive, as far as I know, is the last company standing, for sure in California, that is truly a pay at close with no fees and no credit checks, right? Curbio's pulled out of the market, free models going through a third party lender. Your competition, Compass, Caldwell Banker, all those guys, they have a similar program, but the companies they go through are middleman and third party, and there's like two middlemen. Even with Compass, the company that pioneered Compass Concierge is now going through Notable or through House Amp, and all of these people charge somewhere between 16 to 22% interest rates with I don't know what kind of fees. Credit checks, the buy box for them or the box in which they could help your clients is small. I talk to these guys. They decline deals all the time. So Revive is, really strong right now in this space because we're the only company that's offering a no payments, no credit checks, no limits on turnkey listings. The other thing you guys might know us for is we have a program, and that's what I'm going to really talk a lot about because a lot of our Zillow seller teams are using this equity extraction program to help clients get money out, and then you list it, buying them the time that they need, or getting them out from underneath their debt, which is oftentimes a problem. And we're seeing that more and more with affordability kind of skyrocketing, and with days on market being longer, people need to sell. And how do you outcompete a cash offer, a wholesaler, an investor, an open door? You bringing something unique to the table. So that's something you might have heard about. Now, Revive is also, for the last 12 months, been trying to crack the code on figuring out how to generate leads, but not really us generate leads, but how we can help you generate leads is something that we've been working on. So you may have heard of that kind of floating around. And we also have a listing co-pilot tool. I'm not going to really dive into those two as much, but that's what you might have heard Revive as doing. At the end of the day, we know that it's a competitive marketplace out there for agents, right? I think the key to success is bringing value, bringing solutions to problems. How are people going to remember you, right, when you leave if they're going to list 4 months from now? If they solicited as a cash offer and they went through Open Door and they got to the Zillow funnel and they came to you and now you're in their living room, trust me, 4 other people got that lead, right? So they're talking to multiple people. It's not you. And so how are they going to remember you? And I think, for me, and, I didn't really go over my background, but I've been in this space for a long time, everything from, institutional flipper, broker, institutional lender. I've done it all. And I worked with a lot of real estate agents, and I just want to cut through the BS. I want to work with someone who's got like some solution to some problem I have, and someone who's sharp and someone who's not wasting my time. And so again, it's a competitive marketplace. And these are and I put here in this slide, I put selling options powered by anyone, because everyone here, hopefully, is talking to their clients about, yes, I can solicit some investor offers. Yes, I can list your home. Yes, I can get you an early equity extraction check and then have time to sell your home. Oh, what's that? I don't know. Okay, let's talk, right? Everybody should have a pay at close option, or let me fix your house up so it looks the best. These are like the basic things that I think agents should have in their tool belt. Whether you're working with Revive or not, whether you're fronting it yourself or whether you're working with another company, this is basic, right? But it goes beyond the solution here. These are powerful, but they're only more powerful if you know how to leverage them to start conversation and be memorable after the conversation, right? Whether people use these programs doesn't even matter, right? You want to be the smart guy that has the tools, that has the options, that has the let me call you and ask more questions about that. Let me get in front of you. As Dan already said, people hire people that they're in front of, right? And you guys are good at connecting with people when you're in front of them. So give them a reason to connect with you. Give them a reason to call you back. So it's not just having access to an early cash before sale option. It's like, how do you position that in a really good way to really be memorable so that you are bringing value to people? So again, when you meet with people out in the street, or, when you're doing your farming and you're doing your listening presentations, look, everybody wants the same thing, right? Nobody wants to make less. Everyone wants to make the most of their situation, right? And you're going to have 2 kinds of people that you run across, right? The people that have the time and the people that don't have the time and or the money. Right? Those are the 2 people that you will ever run across, right? The people that have the time, great. you're probably listing their home. You're trying to get their listing, put it on the market, or you're trying to like fix it up a little bit and put it on the market. Maybe fix it up a lot and put it on the market. You're going to be having one of two situations. There's no such thing as a list as is. If I was an agent today, I'd be like, I'm not going to let you leave money on the table as much as we can, right? So we're at least going to take care of the deferred maintenance items, right? Because we're not going to get, extorted in escrow 2 to 3x the cost of the repairs to fix a leaky roof and a leaky sink and minor things, right? So whether you're doing a list as is or whether you're adding some real value because there's potential and your client is, again, it's not about selling this product. It's not always necessarily selling about Revive. It's about having this knowledge, this bandwidth, this resources, pay at close, minor, major. I bring homes to market looking great. That's what it's about. It's about showing people that you're not just hand out, give me your listing. I'm amazed. Like you have to have a different talk track than everybody else, right? And so I think every agent, right, should come to the listing presentation with a one pager. I apologize. This is white labeled to KW. But can I tell you, and for those of you that know Revive, all of this, we have so much collateral that's white labeled to you. All you have to do, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. So everybody should show up with a one pager in their pocket, back pocket, digitally, literally. You guys can get this branded to you, your name, your team, your brokerage. It actually has nothing to do with Revive. Many years ago when we put these stuff out, real estate agents would call me and say, hey, could we rip your content? And because, it's really cool and I promise to use you. I'm like, yeah. And they would rip it. They do a crappy job out of it on it. And so I'm like, dude, we just give it to you. Right. So you guys, could go into your account, get this. You just download it. It's white labeled to you and just make sure you have it. You don't need to be like the 100,000,000% expert on any of the programs that even Revive offers. You just need to know enough to give an option. And then when people want to pull the trigger, you could always call John. You could call someone at Revive, get some background info. You could deep dive with them. We could be an extension of your team. But anyway, the Renovate to Sell program is pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. This one is not complicated like the Sell 360. And as I mentioned before, no one has this offer today. 0 interest, no fees, no maximums, no minimums, 12 months. There are some qualification requirements, right? Folks have to be in a 90-day or less market, right? So people ask me like, will you work on a $15 million home? Totally. If it's in a 90-day or less market. Will you work on a 100-acre farm? Sure, if it's a 90-day or less market. The reality is those types of properties are going to be excluded because they're not in 90-day or less markets, right? People have to have a little bit of equity, right? And we do cosmetic renos only, right? What does that mean, cosmetic? It doesn't mean, what I mean is we're not adding a second story. We're not adding a pool. We're not adding an ADU. We do things that don't go through plan check. Permits, yes, but we're talking floors, kitchens, bathrooms, fix the foundation, the roof, HVAC, grass. That's what we're doing. Things that we can over the counter get permits for. That's what you want anyway, right? You don't want to be stuck in a 2-year renovation that you're managing. And by the time it's done, who knows if you're going to have that listing even, right? So now this is a really great, I think, thing to have. I'm going to pause there for a second. I think it's because I'm kind of talking fast so far, and I'm going to kind of tell you how we power this. But I want to pause for questions and I want to pause for a time check to see how much more time I have.
As far as time check, solid 20 more minutes. So,
okay, awesome.
Yeah, we've just got debrief stuff at the end. So,
yeah,
we'd love to hear some questions from anyone. And actually, I have a question for you, Michael. The 90-day market is, I assume you're referring to, it has to be from the time it goes on market until we get an offer, 90 days at least stays on market.
Yeah.
And for that property type too.
In that neighborhood, right?
In that neighborhood. Okay.
In that surrounding market, we want to be in 90 days or less. I know days on market are creeping up, a lot of markets we're in now. It's common to see 60, 70 days on market. We do filter. We're kind of a little bit liberal about making exceptions because we kind of filter and look at like the nicest properties because, in this market, the properties that aren't turnkey, they are taking longer to sell. So we do filter and kind of look at, okay, the people that made the effort to make it look nice, what are those homes selling for, right? And so we do that. I mean, we want to do deals. We want to help people as much as possible. So there's just some guardrails there. And we do have a committee that, our property advisors would meet with you and the client and then bring it back and try to get exceptions and stuff like that for you.
I have a question. So
Yeah, really.
let's say the client want to opt into like renovation or sale, does the support that Revive provide the clients only involves like improving the property? Because what if they needed, like, for example, legal support and needed like a couple $1,000s for stuff like that?
Did you say legal support?
Yeah, because
Yeah, no, I mean, this program is basically pay at close and we bring the contractor network. We are not legal support. We're just helping you and them make sure that their home is presentable for the market.
okay.
Julie, is there a specific scenario you had in mind? You thinking like
There was
tenant
a
removal or something?
seller. No, so there's a seller who needs to put the property back into the trust, and then it's something called a Higgins deck petition, but they needed money to like talk to a lawyer to like put it back and then put it on the market.
Yeah, that one might be maybe not really sure what that is, but maybe when we just sell 360, that might unlock some more questions around maybe some scenarios where there are legal problems. And the Sell 360 program might be a good fit. Let me kind of say, because I do have one more slide that I want to share with you on this program before I move on to the next one, which is, well, what is the difference, right? Because I know a lot of you guys maybe have contractors that, you work with, right? Some of them might even front the money. And I think, by the way, totally cool. Like if you guys are helping your clients do some handyman stuff, doing some small projects, 20, 30, 40 grand, totally cool. Not licensed, maybe not a big deal. Maybe you're doing some of the work, not a big deal. Kind of. But if you're doing anything more major, you really got to be careful, right? You're not a GC. You can get into legal problems. There's been a number of lawsuits. There's several with Compass agents that, again, we're acting as the GC. You can't be doing $200,000 projects, right? And coordinating and vetting the GCs and, being in the middle of in the trenches and have zero liability here. Like, you're opening yourself up. So I would caution against that. But furthermore, with your clients that even have the money that are taking on projects, here's the big things. Most people, as you guys know, have bad experiences with their contractors. And the things are, we all know the horror stories, right? It takes too long. It takes twice as long. The guy's not communicating, fly by night. And I think the reason for that, and that's kind of like at the core of what Revive has been, trying to solve for the last 5 years. And my background as someone that flipped at scale is the problem starts with what people think they're hiring the contractor for versus what the contractor actually is doing. So people hire a contractor and they are, let me see here. And the guy's helping them put a scope and estimate together, right? I mean, I think most of us, they may not be the best at putting together the best scope for selling a home with ROI in mind, but okay, I can see that. But you also don't realize that people expect them to be the designer or be making decisions and bringing them 5 swatches of everything. They also are hiring them to be the procurement of those materials and tracking them, right? They're also hiring a contractor to do the permits and the permit document preparation. All of these things, most people think like, well, that's what a contractor does, right? But no, like a contractor does construction. All of these things are not in their wheelhouse. Remember, they're running a business. Most contractors started out as a good technician, and then they kind of like the business just happened. They took a job, they took another job. And so running a business, running around, 10 estimates to get one, figuring out design, all these things, it's overwhelming. So it's no surprise to me that contractors make mistakes, get spread thin, and that's kind of the problem that consumers end up having, because in the consumer world, everyone's unhappy. And in the institutional professional world, I always hit my budgets and timelines. I mean, how could you run a fund and be like 50% of the time I'm over budget and 50% of the time I'm over time? It's like, it doesn't work. And so when you do go through Revive, what we've done is, look, we take on the scoping and estimating. So you'd be working with somebody on John's team, right, who is dedicated to helping you put a scope that makes sense for ROI, not what a contractor thinks, right? It's like, does this make sense? We're looking at comps, we're looking at as is, we're looking at potential, we're giving different options. So you have someone outside of the contractor who specializes in that, doing that, right? Then we have a design department, right? They're actually here behind me, right there. We have a design department, and all they do is they are trained on, speccing out material that are in stock, right? That are on budget, that are what buyers want today. Neutral, whatever. And so not the contractor. We also have a procurement team. So once these things are designed, who orders the shower valve, and who's tracking that it's there on time for the rough plumber before the tile guy gets there, right? Like, it's someone that is dedicated to that. Permitting also, contractors horrible at doing plans and stuff like that. And you leave the contractor doing what they do best, construction, and not running a business. In fact, we provide an owner's representative, kind of unheard of in the residential space, to help manage that whole process and be a guide to the owner and the agent, so that if there are disputes, because construction is construction, when there are unforeseens, when there are change orders, that you have a professional that says, this is reasonable, this is not reasonable. And so that's what Revive brings to the table. This is how we power this particular product there. So that's the Renovate to Sell program. That's all I'm going to say about it. I think, again, how you leverage it, right? The one pagers, there's a lot of other collateral in the marketing center. Again, when Compass did Compass Concierge, every agent, and to this day, get an email from an agent, right? Look at their signature line. They've got something like, ask me about, Compass Concierge. When they send out postcards, no matter what they're talking about, ask me at pay to close. Like, how do you leverage it in a way that could get someone to raise their hand? How could you, and even when people don't need the money, right? Knowing that you have something, I think, is really valuable. So again, it's a great product. How you leverage it, I think, is more important. Whether you actually end up using it every time or not is the bigger, I think, opportunity for you. So I'm gonna switch gears here and go through this next program, which is when people don't have money. Yes, Dan, you have a question.
Yeah, I was wondering if you might be able to give us like a two-sentencer on if we're sitting in the living room with a client, kind of doing this initial meet and greet conversation, talking through our options. How would you, in like one or two sentences, describe this this program? Like, if we're laying out for like your clients, like, here's the couple options, I'm going to get you some more details on regular on-market sale, cash offer. Boom. How would you summarize this one?
So specifically the Renovate to Sell program,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, right, like if I'm talking to you, I mean, everybody's different, but basically, like, look, I would want to describe it as, like, I'm the type of the agent that wants to make sure that we don't just list your home, but that we get you what you want from your home, right? And so what do you want? And so if someone is like, I want $10 million for my house, it's like, great. How do we get there, right? Because I think we could make the necessary things to get there, right? If they're more realistic, it's like, I think that the thing here is most people want more for their home, and you at least have to make sure you take care of the obvious things. And so being able to say, look, I'm going to position you in a place where you're going to get the most that you can for your home. And we're going to make sure we don't get negotiated in escrow. And we're going to make sure we are competitive with those other listings that sold for the price points that you want, is something that I could do for you. Or maybe something that we could test the market and we put in our back pocket. I want to tell you a trick. When people sign up for the Renovate to Sell program, like let's say someone goes, you know what? Yeah, let's spend $50K replacing the roof and the flooring and painting it, right? First of all, we require them to have a listing agreement with you before we move forward, because we need to know that they're serious about selling. Okay. And if they change their mind about listing or they want to fire you, the money becomes due right away. And I'm not saying that, this is a tactic to hold people hostage, but I'm just saying if someone is getting free money, right, to improve the home, to gain it with you as the conductor of that, and see, it's very important for Revive that we're working with an agent who we know is a professional full-time agent whose livelihood is to sell this home. And we know we're aligned because we know you want to sell this home. And so the second that you drop out of the equation, then our investors are like, we want the money back. We can't trust that the owner is going to now, they can't hire their cousin or some other agent that didn't come in the beginning of the transaction. And we've had people try to fraud the system and get a free 12-month renovation. And that's why we have these strict rules. Like, no, you can't fire Jay. You can, but you just pass the $50,000 back, right? And so I think you could use that as an opportunity, not to add just value, but know that when they double click and try to benefit from that, that you are going to bring that value and you are going to sell that home. If it takes you a little bit longer to sell that home, you're less likely to be kind of like, you know what, Jay, like, I'm going to move to another realtor. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to move to another realtor. You're going to have to come up with 50 grand. Just saying.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So, sorry to sidetrack you, but thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so no time, no money. This is the Sell 360 program. This is the one that you were more interested in, Dan, where I think when you're talking to Zillow sellers or Zillow leads, that I think is super powerful, right? So when we're talking about people that don't, that are truly considering a cash offer, right? A lowball offer, a vulture offer, a wholesale offer, right? These people, oftentimes their back's up against the wall, and they're likely, and by the way, if they're homeowners that were going that route, the last thing they want to do is work with a real estate agent, because they think that if they can avoid you, that they are going to save that commission, which means more money in their pocket, right? So when you get a Zillow seller of a guy who truly has his back against the wall or really needs to get out from underneath the debt, and he solicited through the open door channel, ended up in the Zillow channel, and it ended up in your inbox, and you're in their living room, okay? And then you show up and you're like, hey, yeah, I could, you know what? These lowball offers, I could list it for you. That's like the opposite of what they were hoping to hear, right? Because they think they're going to pay more. They thought they were going to save money by going directly to a cash offer program. And so this program, the Sell 360 program, is an opportunity to have a different conversation, right? Which is look, and then you could white label this, by the way, but this is a program where we can give people up to 80% of their as-is value today. So you have $1 million home that's appraised today for $1 million. We can give you $800,000. Is your mortgage 800 and you're in default? We can pay it off, right? And then we will hire you as the agent, and then we have all the time, and then you sell it, and then the client gets 100% of all of the profit, or all of everything, minus a program fee of 3%, right? It's an amazing program. It's it's something different to talk about. It's something to show that you have these resources. I think I see a lot of people dangling it and saying, but let me list it first and test the market. And I can get you this offer that we know we can, if the NOD happens, or, your bills kind of pile up, like we have a backup plan, right? Right. Again, what other agent is saying, most agents are like, let me list your home or sell to this vulture investor. You coming in and saying, look, we have options here, right? But I do think I should list your home first, and I can get you this backup offer, that is this unique program that most people don't even know. Most agents are probably not talking to you about this. I want to tell you, there's only 3 companies in the entire United States that offer this program. 2 of them don't even offer it in California. Homeward is one of those companies. All of the companies that offer this program charge anywhere between 6 to 8% for this program, and they don't have the renovation infrastructure to take on any significant project if it needed to happen, right? So this program is super unique, an ability to give people money, the ability to take care of people's mortgage, and have them not have to take that vulture investor offer. So being able to talk like this, I think, is super valuable. Now, whether people, end up going with it or not, are you bringing value that helps you be more memorable, that helps you lock a listing down? And for the right person, this program is a godsend. It's a no-brainer. And we are seeing a ginormous uptick in the market. I mean, 2 years ago, we were doing a handful of these deals a year. And now we are doing a handful of these deals a month. We'd like to do more. We see that the market is ripe for something like this. And working with these Zillow sellers, that's how this program is being utilized. Now, there's a lot of details to this program. We've created a playbook, which I think, Nicole, we should send to you, Dan, and your team. We created like a 10-step playbook as to, how to prospect with this program, because you can prospect with it. You can send out an LOI to people and say, hey, we'd love to, buy your home and help you flip your home. There's all kinds of scripts that I've created and kind of step by step how to walk through that program. Go ahead, Dan.
And Michael, we've got a couple questions in the chat for how people can get the white labeled marketing material. Would you be able to spend a minute or so and just show people, because it's pretty easy to sign up for an account on the Revive page, right?
Super easy, yeah. And that's going to be my next slide. So I'll get to that.
Oh, okay, perfect.
What are the other questions that are maybe regarding? What are the other questions?
The 2 questions are both on great. How do I get this marketing material?
Awesome.
So we're excited about that. But does anyone have any other questions on the Sell 360 program, or does anyone want to take a stab at like how they would explain it to make sure? Because it took me a second for my brain to settle in of like, oh, that's how this works. Katie, what do you got?
Hi, Michael. My name is Katie. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. So just to get a better understanding of the 3% you mentioned, so you did mention like if it's $1 million property, do 80% of that, which is going to be $800,000. So how does the 3% come in? So is it going to be on top of the $800,000 or?
No. So the way the program works is we buy the home for $1 million and we do a holdback of 200, and then you relist it, and then they get all the upside. So if you sold it for $1 million, then they get whatever that difference between 800 and $1 million, and then it's 3% of the sales price that you sell it on the second transaction. So usually what happens is someone has $1 million home that could be a 1.5 home if you spent like $150,000-$200,000, but they don't have the time to like make it right. So, but they have a mortgage. Maybe the mortgage is 300, but they have, they just don't have the time. So we come in, we pay off their mortgage. That might want some cash in their pocket, maybe not, because it doesn't really matter. This isn't the very, very important thing here. This is not a competitor to cash offer program. This is literally the antithesis of a cash offer program. This is a program that that's allowing homeowners to flip their own homes and not have the flipper make the upside, right? By bringing them either the time that they need, the money that they need for the renovations, and the network they need for the renovations. Not every home needs to have renovations happen for this program to work, but for most homes, especially if someone is in a very big hurry to get out from their debt, they just don't have the time or money to, fix the roof or stage it and make sure it's marketed properly. I don't know. Did I answer your question? So it's 3% of the sales price, and we get paid later on the second transaction.
And that would be the 1.5. So like transaction 1, you buy it for $1 million, give the seller enough money to pay off their debts, and then spend however much time renovating the house, getting it beautiful. And then we list it a second time on the open market for 1.5. And then that 3% is a selling cost of the 1.5 transaction.
Yeah, it's a flipping program fee. And then I know most of you maybe might want to ask, like, how do you get paid? When do you get paid? And so when Revive is hiring you as the listing agent, we pay 3% for anything under $1 million on the sell side, and then we offer up to 2.5 on the buy side, 2.5% above $1 million. On the sell side, again, up to 2.5 on the front side. We don't negotiate with sellers. So if you brought this to a client and they're like, cool, but I want you to list it with, Jay for only 1%, we're like, no, like we got to pay for proper team and marketing to happen. And we're bringing this value. And if you want to participate in this program, great. Now, a lot of agents ask me, how about the first transaction? Can I get a commission on the first transaction? Up to you, right? Some agents do. It's very, very deal specific, right? Like if you have the listing and then you're bringing this program in and you're really solving a problem, then absolutely, I think it's fair. And I've seen agents charge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the most I've seen. I thought that was outrageous on the buy side. But the thing is, you have the listing and you're bringing a solution to maybe a very big problem for them. So could you get a commission now and a commission later? Yes. But if you're prospecting with this, are you going to be able to grab a commission every single time on the first one? Maybe not, right? And that's okay if you're going to secure a listing on the back end there. You had another question. It says Karan there.
Yeah,
Sorry, it was the previous hand, but just one last question. So what's the timeline on when you pick up the property? Like, do you guys have a timeline how soon you guys can close on that?
Yeah, so we close properties anywhere between, I mean, we've closed as fast as 7 days. Our standard offer usually is 21 days. We always have an inspection contingency, minimum 5 days, usually maximum 17 days. But we're able to close pretty quickly, right? Because Revive isn't actually taking risk because we're like, oh, you have $1 million home? We're only going to give you up to 800. We don't want to take risk because we're not going to take any of your upside. So we can close very quickly. Yeah, it's a clutch kind of program for those listings that might be like, if you're ever in a listing that's going on its like 90th, 120 day, and your client is like, dude, what is going on? Right. And you're like, you know what, dude, it's the market. I'll tell you what, if you're burning for cash, don't fire me and just sell it to like a cash guy. Why don't we get some cash in your pocket? Why don't we explore this other product? And you should be bringing solutions throughout your listing, right? All the time anyway, right? Because it's, getting the listing is already hard enough. Losing a listing is like another thing that you got to like make sure that, you're on top of. And again, even if you never pull the trigger, what conversation does that spark with that client and their friends and whatever, etc. I only have like 4 minutes, so I want to make sure I get through a couple other things. But yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Michael, quick question for you. On the Sell 360, deal number 2, Revive is the legal owner on title for that one, right?
That's right. So we are the legal owner on title with a, we don't use this with consumer talk, but with a JV agreement. So there's an addendum to the purchase agreement that says, hey, just kind of like if you were to JV with me and my LLC on a flip, essentially it's like a 4-page document that says, hey, look, here's the addendum. Revive is only going to do, and in fact, you know what? I'm going to go through this playbook in 1 minute. So first step here is identifying the right type of client that would benefit from this. People that have time and money, this is not a program for them because they're paying 3%, right? So bad fit. So make sure if they're in foreclosure, they're ideal. If they have urgency for cash, they're ideal. If they already bought their next home and they need to free up their DTI, they're ideal. And so the first step really is talk to them. Show them, give them a 1-pager that's white labeled, have a little conversation. Hey, would this program be helpful? Again, these programs are more powerful to get in front of people in a unique way and have a unique conversation. If they're interested high level, then you know what? Submit the property to Revive, right? Let us talk to you. Let us talk to your client, set us up for success to have that deep level conversation so that we could explain it properly, the ins and outs. They're going to have a lot of questions. I don't expect you guys to know all of the questions that someone might ask, but you can do enough to say, I have this very unique thing. Let me get you with my, with the partnership that I have with this program. So that's the next step. Then we get a proposal out to them, showing them, what it might look, what their net sheet might look like versus accepting that other cash offer, for example, or whatever. Then once they accept that offer, we open escrow. We do our assessment. We don't close escrow until they agree on every penny that we might spend while we're the owners. So we're not going to do anything to the home that they don't agree to before we buy the home. And so that happens. We close escrow. We work really quickly to put it back together. We relist it with you. We close it and give them their second check. So that's the program at a high level. I'll send you guys this playbook. I think if you guys want to do a deep dive, book a meeting with John, totally do a deep dive with you. I'm just going to cruise through my next two slides and then I'll leave all the extra time for questions. We do have I'm not going to talk about this either, but I mentioned that we do have a co-pilot like this property report that brings all of those solutions in one report, so that if you wanted to go with a white labeled report that kind of goes, hey client, like here's the 4 ways that I, could maybe market your home. I can market it to an investor. I could list it on the market. I could do this unique instant cash offer plus, or I can kind of fix up your home with no money out of pocket till the end. So we have that. Here's what you guys are looking for. Steps to power your marketing. Basically what you want to do is download the mobile app or go to revive.real estate. And what you'll want to do is sign into your account. You guys already have accounts. It's your phone number. We've worked with your team. We've set things up on the back end where we have all of your images, your names, your numbers. All you got to do is connect it to your Revive marketing account. And if you do that, there's like literally dozens of pieces of collateral in the marketing centers about each one of these products. You can explore all kinds of features that we have in your dashboards, whether it's a refer and earn program, whether it's there's so many things I can't even tell you. It's a lot of cool stuff. But the most important one you guys are asking about is where the Stars Marketing Center. If you scan this barcode, it'll send you to a link tree for all these places: Marketing Center, how to discuss a property, book a call, different places. So I think that's all I have for you today. I'm going to pause. We're ready for questions.
Yeah, let's do it in the final 4 minutes, rapid fire. Do we got any questions from anyone in the audience?
And while people are raising their hands or unmuting, Dan, this is kind of like an overview, right, of what we talked about. If you guys are interested, what I've put together, and we just this was an idea that actually Nicole had, which is some type of deep dive on each one of these products in separate meetings. But the deep dive isn't on the product, it's how to leverage the product to prospect, to position yourself, to be a better converter. And if you guys found value in some of these things, we could put it together and then we can do a series of 4 classes where we kind of just really deep dive on those types of activities.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Anyone got any final closing questions for Michael and the Revive team here?
Yeah.
Jennifer, she's submitted a bunch of deals, so she's been through the ringer. Not sure if you closed any deals, Jennifer. Yeah, but hope to be able to help you and your clients in the future. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Michael, thank you. Thank you for your time. John, Nicole, appreciate y'all being here. So just final closing thought on this. Again, the mindset shift that we're going for these seller connections is that first appointment, our goal is not to get a signed listing agreement, right? Is not to run a listing appointment. That's great. That's icing on the cake if that happens to happen. But our first goal for getting face-to-face with those clients is to present options and to be their trusted resource to help them understand what path makes sense to move forward. And so having more of these options, and especially options that the other agents that they are talking to, which there's a very good chance they're talking to other people, don't have and are not going to be presenting. And especially in some of these consumers that we're talking to have complicated situations and need some slightly, outside of the box solutions for this. So the more things that we can present and be of resource, better your chance of being able to win the business here. All right. That's all we got for everyone. I'll stick around for a few minutes if anyone has any questions, but otherwise, thank you all for your time, attention, engagement. Michael, John, Nicole, again, thank you all for being here.